In the athletic world, we don't talk about mental health because you can't put a Band-Aid on it. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to the doctor and the doctor say, you got 3 months, so you'll be better. We're seen to be these gladiators. We're seen to be these warriors who are don't deal with what, everyone else deals with. We're supposed to be above that, but that's not true. We're humans.
We're all here talking about mental health, and we all deal with it at our own capacity. Why do we feel it's so stigmatized in today's world?
In my community, we don't talk about mental health. You know what I'm saying? You ain't talking about anxiety and depression and PTSD. You just dealing with it. In the athletic world, we don't talk about mental health because you can't put a Band-Aid on it. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to the doctor and the doctor say, you got 3 months, so you'll be better. We're seen to be these gladiators. We're seen to be these warriors who are don't deal with what, everyone else deals with. We're supposed to be above that, but that's not true. We're humans. As a man, you're not allowed to show certain emotions. You gotta either be funny or you gotta be angry. You know what I'm saying? You can't cry. Stop crying. Why you crying? If an athlete came out or an artist came out 20 years ago and said, hey, I'm dealing with anxiety or depression. Oh, he's crazy. Oh man, he's crazy. Oh man, stay away from him. Lose all your endorsements, lose all your money. We pack animals. Nobody wants to be ostracized. Nobody wants to be,
Tribal. Sure.
Yeah, bro. Nobody wants to feel like that. So we'll actually depress our mental health, depress our emotional state, and not talk about it and not speak about how we feel in fear that we're gonna lose people, we're gonna lose money, we're gonna lose something. It's a job for us to be honest, and it's a job for the public to be accepting and to be understanding when it comes to, the people who they idolize. That creates more of a global community.
There's so many people who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and anxiety and depression in the community, especially the Black community, and being an athlete and an artist, that is seen as a vulnerability in a sense. It's so many people going through it. Nobody wants to be the first to talk about it. The Black Swan, in a sense, nobody want to be put right. A person like, oh yeah, he's crazy or he's going through it. And I feel like, it's not just talking about it, it's trying to come up with solutions, to fix the problem and say, all right, what do we do as a whole to make sure that the next generation don't have to go through this and feel how we feel?
Yeah.
And I love that. Larry, you talked about, guys in our profession, like athletes, but, specifically, I'm gonna go to the NBA, like Delonte West, when he came out and said, I'm bipolar, these are the things I deal with. I deal with mental illness. And people not only were like, okay, this guy's crazy, and I don't use that term loosely. Now you see it, you fast forward 12, 13 years, and you see him and how bad he's actually struggling. And so in hindsight, instead of being out in front of it and utilizing our resources and what we have at our disposal within arm's distance, we set him up for failure. What I've learned through my fund and working with the next generation, and that's why, G, I love that you said that, like having that early intervention and making sure that we're even in the playing field for mental health, because like as an athlete, you're seeing it where, okay, sprained ankle, Larry, you said it, somebody can go out there, throw a bandage, retape the ankle, whatever it is. But mentally, I think we're very underutilized and the service isn't quite there for us. And that transitions to all walks of life. For me, I didn't start going to therapy until about 3.5 years ago. And that was when I had a full-blown, panic attack and moment from, my buildup of a number of my pillars in my life being knocked down, serious, major depression on top of just like acute anxiety my entire life finally get me. I'm wondering if you guys shine a light on either therapy or those around you that have, kind of gone through therapy and seen that firsthand.
Me too, Kevin. I started 2.5, 3 years ago also, and it actually came from my lawyer. I was fighting a criminal case in Chicago for a weapons charge. I just, stressed to my lawyer that I'm in fear of my life. I seen my first murder. at 9 years old, I seen a lot of, my closest friends and family members actually be murdered, like right before my eyes. I actually told my lawyer that, and he sent me to therapy. And I went to go talk to a therapist, and I didn't even think it was something like that was for me. Like, how am I gonna be able to talk to someone from a totally different background that never probably experienced some of the things that I did? But it actually was one of the, best decisions that I ever made for myself.
You tap into your fight or flight and all that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
for sure. And
You feel like
locked in. You was ready. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. And it's just an instinct. It's fight or flight. You just hit it right on the head. It's just a natural instinct where I thought at any second something just triggered me and I go into that mode.
You feel like that's made you guys better, not only people, I mean, I feel like that's pretty constant, but like better artists overall, like more comfortable in your own skin.
I'm less judgmental of myself, like especially with being creative. You know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking about, all right, I can't say this because people gonna look at me a certain way, when it's actually, I feel like I should say it because I want people to understand that I'm only human, just like you.
My first therapy session when I was 8, I was punching walls. I was angry. I was like getting in fights. I saw a real rough dynamic between my mom and dad. We ended up, running, being in and out of homeless shelters. I was angry, and I started seeing somebody. It was foreign because it's like you said, this guy, this old white guy, what he finna tell me, you know what I'm saying? What he got from me? But he became my friend. And when I got, taller, that's when basketball came into my life. And when I got back on that stage, it started coming out again in the league. And I hated that. I hated who I was because I lost myself in the moments. I started seeing another therapist when I was in the league. And what I understood was this authority. I had a problem with this authority because I was trying to talk to my father. Honestly, I went through some things with the NBA when they didn't understand what I was going through. So I had to do what I had to do for myself and my family. And I'm on this grand stage and I'm about to crash out, you know what I'm saying? And it's gonna be public, you know what I'm saying? So I knew I had to take my time away, and I put myself in a facility. It was like probably one of the best decisions I made because I was able to get so much attention. I was able to do a timeline of my trauma. It plays out with my children. It plays out with my fiance. To break a generational curse, you damn near got to go through the same things that they went through. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the heated situations, but now you got to make a different decision. There's always power in seeing a professional, someone who knows the brain, who knows the body. I saw benefit in it my whole life. Something I'll do forever.
Man, I commend you for even speaking on that, bro. And the reason why it's so important to have people, like you and like you, Kevin, like myself, and like everybody who's willing to speak on these things, but not only speak about it, do the next best thing to, to make the situation better.
Yeah, Kev, what surprised you? What's different about the conversation now compared to then?
We teach physical health. We teach, our sex ed. Like those are things that, are applicable and we need to learn, but we don't learn about our emotional health and mental health earlier in life. All of us, having our reach and using our platforms in order to speak out, I think you're seeing that a lot more. Having crazy anxiety or social anxiety, going out of the house, feeling like you're not going to be protected, feeling like you have to, because of what you've seen and been predisposed to, and your brain has been conditioned to having to take a gun everywhere. Like that shit is exhausting. Having acute anxiety is exhausting. PTSD is exhausting. Like that's why, Larry, I feel like you, from what I'm hearing and through your story, you had to remove yourself so you could take a major step forward in overall life satisfaction and being that better person for everybody within your family. So I feel like that's where we're seeing that idea of masculinity, that tired conversation and language is being changed. How do you guys feel like, the media portrays, I guess, these type of things, and how has it affected you guys? Us being high output individuals in the public eye are supposed to be looked at as superhuman. And we have this like scar tissue and body armor that we can't be affected. And everybody likes to compare grief. And to me, that's bullshit.
Me personally, I just think being honest, with yourself and with each other, because the media, one thing I understand and I learned about the media is it's never gonna be your friend.
Well, G, it's a vicious cycle too, because you gotta think like trauma begets trauma. So
Exactly.
until we unlearn certain things and rewire, we always gonna be drawn to the headline that say, yo, G shot Shorty, not G went to this charity event.
Exactly.
You feel me? Because that's what we drawn to. So that's the click, So I think even like those good journalists and those good reporters and those people who want to tell the good story, they don't get ahead. They not getting that payday. Right. You know what I'm saying? That the fool chasing off the story about some BS. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So it's a responsibility for the public to not click that shit.
Sometimes the best response is just no response. Don't even respond or focus on the negativity, like you just said.
Well, G, what do you think we go from here? Like, how do we advance the conversation as far as masculinity and mental health?
I think the first step is, as men, acknowledging that, we're not perfect. It makes you a tougher person to actually look at yourself in the mirror and understand, I need to correct this about myself and actually doing the things to do it. It makes you a better man. It makes you a stronger person.
Just changing the language, continuing to have these conversations. I mean, I feel like we celebrate people that, beat their emotions into submission. I think that's poison for the brain. It's bad for society as a whole. So allowing ourselves to dive into vulnerability, we can change the narrative or how we speak about what masculinity is. If you were talking to your younger self, if we posed a question like, what advice would you give to that up and coming G or Larry that you feel like they would need to or want to hear if they're really struggling? What would you guys say to that young kid or that young person or that person that's going through something right now?
I'll start us off because I feel like Larry gonna get such a good response. I would mainly tell myself to have confidence because I have to change my situation and I have to, get out of these circumstances or I'm gonna just die or go to jail. And it shouldn't have to be that way. You should just wake up and know that anything is possible. And I feel like if I could talk to myself and just say, have confidence and believe, I feel like I would be like light years ahead of where I am right now.
For me, I feel like I ran away from my anxiety and being depressed for so long. I tried to compartmentalize it. I mean, Larry, you said it earlier, like we're such tribal beings. Like, I don't think anybody benefits from withholding compassion. And I did that because I felt like I had to be hard. I had to be a man. I had to be this idea of, what people felt masculinity is and still is for that matter. So I would honestly tell my younger self, just to speak your truth. I always say that nothing haunts us like the things we don't say, and that could be in therapy or out of therapy. Just expressing myself in a better way, and like G said, being confident and self-assured in doing that would have been huge for me, and probably would have, I guess, stripped back some of these years and some of these layers that I just held so heavy on me for so long.
I just say self-discipline, man. Like that's the one thing that would be my thing, and to listen. I would say to my younger self, like, you gotta listen, kid. Like, I know you got a lot to say, but you just gotta be quiet sometimes and listen. I'm still trying to figure that out. You know what I'm saying?
My brothers, I definitely needed this conversation, man. Hopefully we can continue it at some later time and maybe, I don't know, do some face-to-face or just, something for the community, each of our communities, you know what I'm saying? And just the world as a whole, man. I definitely needed this conversation. And, appreciate both of y'all for sure.
So let's make a track, bro. Put Kev on the hook.
Look, man, you in LA now, bro?
Yeah, I'm in LA.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate the therapy session.
Yes, sir.
All love, big bro.
All right, Kev. Appreciate y'all boys.
All right.